All right, everybody, welcome to Studio B. I am your host, Pastor MDH. Thank you so very, very much for joining us here on the set today. Remember, wherever you're watching us from, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, make sure that you like, comment, follow, and subscribe. Now, what I need you to do is to get into the comments, talk back to us, because that stimulates the algorithm and helps these videos get out to a whole lot broader audience. So we thank you guys, every last one of you 60,000 subscribers over the last couple of years who have joined us every week for the set of Studio B. So we thank you for that. As you can see, I got two people right here to my left and to my right. My wife is not here. She's normally to my left. But we talk a lot about our family, and I got two of my children joining me on the set today. I have Miss Faith Marshall. I call her Chunk. Wave to the world. And then I have my namesake, Marcus Holman Jr. Wave to the world. And so I got two of our four kids here today. I got two other kids, of course, Michelle and Markayla, but they are working women, and they are on the job right now, earning pay and benefits and paying bills, so we could not negotiate them getting here today. But they're going to represent very well for not only their family, but their siblings. So I wanted to bring them on to the set to not only talk about what me and my wife talk about, but to get a personal perspective from a 20-year-old, which yesterday was her birthday, and a soon-to-be 22-year-old who will be 22 in a matter of days. What does life look like from their lens? So let me first allow them to introduce themselves and kind of like what you enjoy, a little bit about you. I'm gonna start with you, Chuck. Faith, I'm sorry.
My name? Okay, well, my name is Faith. I'm 20 years old. I attend Sam Houston State University. Some things that I enjoy. I still enjoy working out, though I am a retired track athlete. But working out and kind of just keeping my own space, being by myself and enjoying my own time, and being with my family, of course.
My name is Marcus Holman Jr., senior in college. I major in art animation, and that's kind of where a lot of my interests lie. I love to draw, I love to play games, I love to read. Pretty much any creative medium I find some enjoyment in.
So did you hear that deep voice? As Marcus Jr. So let me ask you guys a question. You guys are what the world calls PK kids. Everybody know what a PK is? What's a PK?
Pastor's kid.
Pastor's kid or preacher's kid. So you guys have grown up in the ministry, like literally, from yay high to a grasshopper all the way to where you are right now. As long as I've been pastoring, you guys have been a part of the ministry in a very intimate sense. Talk about what that means for you. Did it create pressure? Did you feel a need to try to live up to some type of standard because your dad was a pastor? Kind of talk about what that looked like in your lives, either one of you.
Well, I feel like as a preacher's kid, I won't say that we had to live a completely different life, but we were definitely held to a different standard, especially in the church from what other people saw. I think I wouldn't say pressure, but I would say pressure of, you can't do certain things because your dad's a pastor. And then if you did something, that's the first person they would say something to. So I guess there was pressures with being a pastor's kid, but like, even on the outside world, like now I'm 20, I'm in college, I think, like when you tell people that you're a PK, that's automatically, oh my gosh, y'all are like the worst ones, and But I don't really think that's the truth. I just think we have a certain lifestyle to live, but I won't say it made anything bad. It just, you can do certain things because you have a certain image, I guess you can say. Mm-hmm. So doing certain things outside of that character did not necessarily make you look bad, but or look good. So, yeah.
Yeah, to that point, yes, I felt there was pressure because not just because we're PKs, but because we're your kids specifically. So there was the pressure of your dad being a pastor and that you're representing them and your family well. But there's also the pressure of just being your kid.
There's not much to say after that.
It's just high expectations, and we knew that from a young age. So acting accordingly was something we had to learn very quickly.
So let's talk about that. So high expectations. Was it overbearing? Was it sometimes too much to handle? I mean, what? Because I look at life differently, of course, than my kids. And sometimes I can kind of walk through life with blinders on. I'm very goal oriented. I like structure. Did it put too much pressure? Did it rob you of any type of childhood living? I mean, what did living in a pastoral house? What did it do? Was it good, bad, and different? How did you feel kind of going through it?
For me personally, and I think all of my siblings can second it, but like, what a normal, because I don't think we had a normal growing up compared to what other kids grew up like. And I feel like a lot of things that we did were definitely highlighted. Because so many people know us, and so many people know us because of you. So a lot of our actions are definitely highlighted. And then there's certain things, certain kids can do, but we can't do because, we have that, your dad's a pastor. And it's not even that my dad's a pastor, it's because my dad's Marcus. And I feel like that's something in itself. So, I mean, I don't really know how to answer that question other than the fact that it's just different for us. And in the eyes of other people, we don't live that same life. We grew up differently. We have different morals and we have a different lifestyle. So, other than the fact that everything is just highlighted with us, I mean...
Yeah, I mean, I hate to say that there was like a overbearing presence of the expectations. I don't think it was. It was just that I was always aware of it most of the time. Like, a different scenario, but like there are things that you tell me a lot that I am always thinking about, like in regards to expectations or what I should be expecting for my future, or what you want me to, or what you want for. What you want my future to come out of. Mm-hmm. So that sort of thing. I don't think I was like missing out on there's so much stuff I wanted to do as a kid I never got to do because I was a pastor's kid or anything like that. It was just like there was some sort of pressure and I was aware of it. I don't think it hampered anything though, in my opinion.
Well, and so you guys have grown up in a house with me and your mother to where we emphasize family. And we have said for a long time, even with our new assignment with me pastoring now, I have said that if you guys were younger, I would not have taken this role of pastor because I've learned from my previous pastoralship. And so family is very, very important. And I tried to, and I'm still trying to, your mother and I, trying to create an environment that sometimes we got to take a step back and say, hold on, we got to allow our children to kind of, forge their own way. We got to illuminate the pathway as much as we can. But I think we're at a point right now as parents to where, as hard as it may be, to allow you guys to make your own mistakes. Because if we don't allow you to make those mistakes and continue to shelter you, then when you do get out there and try to spread your wings, it's going to be a difficult flight. So I know at times, I know this, that I have been a bit, kind of weighty, but it comes from a place of me not having what I'm trying to provide for you guys, right? A strong, stable family with a mother and father in the home. So kind of as you are 20 and 22, in this particular area that you guys are living in this culture, what's difficult about being a young believer? Because both of you, now let me not assume anything. You are born again, right?
Yes, sir.
Born again.
Sure.
What's the difficulty, if there is, with being young, born again, trying to do what God has called for you to do, living in this type of culture, especially in a college atmosphere? What does that look like for you guys?
It just depends on how you approach it. I guess for the past couple of years, have been managing my faith and not be that person who, doesn't like shove it down everybody's throat, but I also don't want to be ashamed of what I believe in. So I want to be the person that I am and not be afraid to be that person. But I don't want to be that person who just like, and I don't want to say proselytize, but like preaches and acts holier than thou. But I just want to like help people the best I can, treat people I want to be the way I want to be treated, and just as a baseline, but not compromising the things I believe in, that sort of thing. I want to be a true believer, but I also want to, be a good friend and still.
That's a good way to put that. That's insightful. That's a great way to put that. What about you? That's a great way to put that.
Can you reiterate the question?
So as a born-again young person, in the culture that you're living in right now, in a culture of social media, everybody trying to be accepted, everybody trying to do their own thing, it would be said, if we can agree, that as a believer, we are an oddity. We kind of stick out like a sore thumb. While everybody's going right, we typically tend to go left. So what does that look like in regards to a young person that is a believer, that is seeking after the things of the Lord, but you're in a culture that we currently live in? How difficult is that to navigate?
I won't say that it's difficult, only because now I feel like, now that I'm older and I'm in the position to know God for myself, I don't think anything is different as far as like while I'm at school or anything, or in like the real world, should I say. I think I've done a good job at just holding the people close to me that share the same values. Normally when it comes to like meeting new people, I tend to, God is the most important person in my life. So when I have friends, or if I'm, whatever the case may be, that's what I'm stating at first. I don't think it's hard to navigate now, because a lot of people are trying to get to know God for themselves, so it's easier now. But I mean, I personally wouldn't say it's difficult being a believer in this new world, because a lot more people that I've come in contact with are trying to give their life over to God. So if anything, I feel like we're all helping each other out, because you're in college, you are with people who share different values, different beliefs, people who do not agree on the same things. But then you also have a lot more people who do share the same thing that you believe. So I wouldn't say it's harder. If anything, I would say it's easier and better for all of us to come together.
Yeah.
So, go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, because in that point, college is like a good way to, I would say, like testing grounds. Because you're forced to meet up with a lot of people who have different viewpoints, beliefs, stuff like that. And you're always, it's in a setting where you're aiming to do the same thing. So you have to learn how to work with these people. You have to learn how to understand these people. You have to consider their viewpoints and come together to work something out. So I guess college is a really good like place to practice that kind of thing.
Wow. So it helps you to hear what other people believe, and then find common grounds to try to work together.
I guess like it's different. When you're in high school, you're be with a lot of people for 7 hours, but now you're in college, you actually live with these people. These people might be your next door neighbors. The people who don't share your same beliefs are probably your roommates. So, I mean, college is the place where you really have to, I guess, just analyze what other people are going through or what they believe, I guess. So, yeah.
So that's great perspective. I've never thought about it that way. I've always, not always, but I think when I think about college life, it's been a long time since I've been to school, so maybe that's why. I think about, people from all different walks of life. You got kids that now have freedom that they've never had before. They don't have their parents bearing down on them, so now they're living the kind of lives that they've always dreamed about. And I always figured in my mind that a person coming into that setting is going to find some difficulty in trying to live out their faith out loud. But that makes sense. That's a good point. That's a great perspective, because I've always, one of the things I pray for you guys, and your mom does as well, is God, let their light shine in Sam Houston. And with just how you guys have just now articulated that, I need to modify my prayers, because you are letting your light shine. But you're not standing in this town square with your Bible like this, preaching and screaming at people.
And that's kind of like what I was thinking of, because you've seen it. I've been here 4 years, but you always see those guys like, stand in front of them Bible, you go to hell for this and this and this. And that I never really seen that work. Mm-hmm. One time I saw like some guy in a clown costume like show up next to him eventually. I don't even know how that happened, but like people don't respond well to that. But I do know people respond well to you having a conversation with them. Mm. Even if your beliefs differ or you don't agree, you approach it respectfully, kindly, they're more likely to listen. And even if you walk away not agreeing on that thing, that relationship can still be intact. Your impression of that person, whether you believe they were right or wrong, is a negative because you approached it in a positive way. Mm.
Mm. Yeah, that's
you're good.
Not gonna.
Great.
Sorry, you're not gonna. Nobody is gonna try to get closer to God if you're scaring them. Like, people don't want to come into church because they're so judgmental. Like, people will come closer to God if you just be upright with them. You can't scare them like you're gonna go to hell if you don't do this. Everybody makes mistakes. Everybody's on different walks of their life. All you have to do is make that clear, and making it clear that God is the only person that can help you do that. Not scaring them, saying, okay, you're going to go to hell for doing this, or you're going to go to hell for doing that. But letting them know that if you gain a relationship with God, that you will go to heaven. And not scaring them to thinking that the mistakes that they made will only draw them to one place. You can't give your life to God. That doesn't mean that you have to give your life at 5 or 20 or 50. At any point in your life, you can give your life to God. Don't scare people into believing that all their mistakes will lead them to one place. Everybody can be forgiven for what they've done, if that's in your heart, of course.
So I have my generation and your generation see the world through a different lens. I'm sure you know that. The way that my generation has been brought up and the way that your generation is brought up are diametrically opposed to one another. And so the challenge is trying to find the balance between your generation, your worldview, how you see things, our worldview and how we see things, and find some type of commonalities between the two. I think the older generation is a bit scared or intimidated with engaging your generation because they're so out of touch with how you guys communicate, how your rhythm and your flows. So it makes even talking to your generation difficult about the things of the Lord, because the older generation who is disconnected and feel out of touch don't know what to say. And I feel like there are times in which the younger generation can help bridge that gap, even in conversations like this, where you can allow people to say, hey, that's a good thought, I never thought about that. And then on the other side, the younger generation who does not sometimes appreciate the older generation can say, oh, that's a good thought, I never thought about that. So back to your points where you can find some common ground between the two, because even I am guilty of thinking about things one way and not allowing space for grace. And I've been guilty even with that with my own children, not allowing space for grace for how you guys are processing through life, right? And so, this kind of conversation, I think, not only helps me, but helps a lot of our viewers, younger and older, to help understand how we can bridge the gap from the older to the younger generation. So let me ask you this. If you were to look back over your short lives, 22 and 20, 2 decades, that's all y'all got. You just got 2 decades. Lord have mercy. What's some of the most valuable lessons that you have learned that you are applying or living by right now? Whatever that looks like.
Well, I already said this, and it's not really I think we talked about this before, like a couple months ago, but just like treating people the way that you want to be treated, loving others the best you can. I think I said something along the lines that you can't really go around doing that. Mm-hmm. So I generally, like, my thing for the past couple of years, I want to be able to help people and know that they've been helped some way. So that's just how, like, I try to treat people. I try to treat people the best I can because I want to be treated that same way. So, and that's just like really like a Bible lesson rather than like a life lesson, I think. But, like, from you specifically, I have been adapting, like, how I do work in this college setting or just in general, trying to, like, adapt the things that you've been telling me about. Because when you initially say them, like when you're young, either it's going to fire over your head or it's going to make you mad and you're going to not like it until you actually realize that you should probably put that in practice. And it's actually just really good advice that you were given. And so it's that sort of thing, like trying to adapt the lesson that you've given us when you were a kid. Now we have time to actually, well, I guess you can always put them in practice even when you told us, but now there's more like, now you can like know that you're trying to do so because it's actually like for stuff that applies to you.
Yeah, I can second the last statement he made. There's a lot of lessons that both you and Mommy have instilled in us that then when we heard it, that's not what we wanted to hear. Though it was correct, though it made sense at that time, obviously now I can look back and say, okay, yeah, that makes sense. I understand why they said it. But I think the hardest thing about those lessons at a young age was just like how it was said.
Yeah.
Because, you know, like you, like I say, you say, like, we'll talk to you or you'll talk to us in a sense of this is my conversation. You listen, that's just that. Like, your mind is completely made up when certain things are said. Like, there's nothing we can say. Like, when we come to you, like, is that really what I was trying to say?
Yeah.
Like, I don't.
I'm listening. Go ahead.
I'm like coming to you, you're like, okay, maybe I didn't feel the way I was supposed to feel. It's just because you know how to, you know, say your words the right way. And sometimes we don't really know how to articulate that. But we learned a lot of lessons that I say now at 20 that I can use in my daily life. Like, that you're on Holman really sticks with me because we have so many values in place that will only set us higher for the future. So,
yeah. I think just like in parents in general, you talk or speak in a way that makes or can make you feel like you're, well, to be frank, stupid. Like, everything you could say could be right. Everything you could say could be completely right, absolutely true. No inaccuracies in there, but I'm not going to take it because of the way it was said. And it frustrated me in such a way.
Yeah, I was like, can I use an example? Like, a few days when we were talking, I said, from my own experience at 20 years old, the whole base of the conversation was probably different. But I said, the experience that I have at 20, you were like, my point. I'm like, I'm only 20, so I can only tell you certain things from the age that I am. And you're like, my point. Okay. Well, I mean, I can't go back 30 years where you started. You know, I can only tell you what I know, what I've experienced. And coming from that, it's just like, you kind of question certain things because it's like, okay, well, I didn't experience that, but this is the only experience I can give you. But your experience is different because, you know, you have 30 years on me. But then it's like, I'm coming from a place of, I can obviously come from a place of my experience and then obviously you, which you want to come from yours because you have more wisdom, which I understand my point. but it's just like you have to find common ground there, because obviously I can only go from what I know, and then you can go off of 30 more years of what I know.
Yeah, that's kind of, I'm going to be honest, that's kind of like the conversation I went back to when you asked this question, because we had the conversation at first and that was that. But then you called me back outside and talked a little bit more. And it was just really just saying the things you already said. But the tone and like I guess the vibe of the situation was so much better. Like, it didn't feel like I was doing something wrong. You were just said the same points. Mm-hmm. But I received it much more better because it was like a calmer situation.
Yeah. And let me tell you, I received that. Whether you guys know it or not, I know at times, because I know my own personality, I am a type A personality. Has good points, also has some negative aspects to it. There are times that I can be overbearing. And it's not just with you two, but your other two siblings, and even in regards to my wife. There are times in which I express my point so valiantly and so forcefully that the point kind of gets lost in the conversation.
True.
But one of the things that I try to do with you guys is, though it may come off like that, and I got to sit back and got to reflect, so I got to call you back out and have another conversation, because I said, okay, that good information, but it's not what I said, it's what they heard. All right, so it's not what you say, it's what people hear. And so if you heard what I said, even though it was correct, but you heard it with the wrong tone, or what may have been the wrong motive, then the good message that was mixed in that conversation gets lost. And I have been guilty of that. YouTube, I have been guilty of that. Not just with them, but with all four of my children and inclusive of my wife. But, conversations like this help, because at the end of the day, and I know this is not a Debbie Downer, I am trying to prepare you guys for a world that is not necessarily nice. And that it's not going to take into account your feelings. It's not going to take into account how you took it. So trying to balance that, I think, is still a challenge for me even to the day. That, man, I want my son to go out here and conquer the world. I want my daughter to go out here and conquer the world. And the world's not going to care why you didn't get it done. All they're going to say is you didn't get it done. But I got to find sometimes better applications to be able to prepare you for the world that you're getting ready to go into. So I get that, son, daughter. I do. I receive that. I receive it because it's counsel that I give myself. So let me ask you, what's in 2024, getting ready to go into 2025, as you are looking, and I want to focus mainly and keep the attention mainly on your generation and where you guys are at spiritually and what you guys plan on doing as you enter into the world. As you look at the world right now, what would you think is the number one need of the world that we live in now? What does the world need more of right now as it stands?
As far as?
What does the world need? If you could rub your hands and give the world this that would make the world a better place, what would it be? The one thing.
It sounds like, I don't know, it sounds like really superfluous, I guess. But, just like love and kindness. Like, people are like so like, well, just mean to each other for no reason, for people you don't know. Like, you see it online a lot, you see it in person, just the way that people treat other people, because I'm assuming that they assume that the other person doesn't like them or hates them for some reason. And that's just kind of like becomes the baseline for some reason, that you believe that every other person probably just hates you. Mm-hmm. So you fight back against that. You go on the defensive from the first moment, even though there's probably no reason to. So you treat people with vitriol, even though there's none to be received yet.
I think for me, I feel like the world needs a little bit more grace, because I feel like a lot of times the main people who judge other people are the ones who aren't right with their lives. Mm-hmm. Like in the Bible, no sin is greater than another. And people a lot of times like to point fingers, but they won't point it back at themselves. Like you can't judge somebody and still be doing the things that you do and call yourself a saint. I can't do that. Like people are like, I don't know how to really like put it into words, but I feel like this world definitely needs a little bit more grace. Like people are gonna fall short, but you can't judge people for their actions. Oh, I mean, well, you can. Depends on what it is, of course. But give people some grace. Yeah. People, a lot of times, people really don't mean what they do. People just take it the wrong way. Like, sometimes it does come from a place of love, but it just depends on how you take it. But this world definitely needs a little bit more grace and stop trying to point fingers at who sins the most, or your sin is worse than my sin. There's no sin greater than another. So,
yeah.
Just grace.
Oh, yeah. I mean, to that point, it's something I've seen on the internet a lot. Like, call-out culture, I think it's really dumb. Mm-hmm. Well, sometimes it's I don't want to say deserved, but it's applicable. But a lot of times it's just like, it seems like you got like a billion eyes on you waiting for you to mess up. Mm-hmm. And it's just like, the moment you do, for the smallest little thing, you'll got like 10,000 people trying to like get rid of you, just trying to bring you down. And, like, there's even the point where, like, you'll bring up something that happened, like, 10, 15 years ago that wasn't even, like, you weren't even involved with, somehow you found out about this person. Like, you want to point out every little thing that they messed up in, or there's something wrong, and there's no place for grace, there's no place for forgiveness, and there's no place for understanding in that.
Yeah, that's like with the whole football player situation. Like, she's probably explained everything that happened, but once people have their mind made up on like how you did a certain situation, they're only going to go back to that.
Exactly.
Like, you can't mess up. Like, now you're in the public eye. Everything that you do is going to be bad, even though you had the right intentions with it. It came from a place of love. But the one situation that happened, the problem of it, that's just now going to be published. No matter what you do, the only thing they're going to go back to is how you acted the first time. And their mind's going to be made up that you're a bad person, that you can't change, you're only with this person for this reason, when that probably wasn't the case. And then you can try to explain yourself as much as possible, but everybody has their mind made up that you're only using this person or whatever the case may be. So.
Well, and to both of your points in this call-out culture and not allowing people to live stuff down, this is one of the things that I've tried my best to shield you guys from, that you guys unwillingly, because of the call of God on my life, were attached to a person that lives life in a fishbowl. And I live a life for all people to see, and even to your point, point fingers and highlight stuff that I'm doing that may be small and minuscule, but because of the position that I have and the calling that I have, it's now magnified to a greater degree. So there is literally this expectation that you can't do anything wrong. And the minute that you do, people will take that and almost crucify it with you. And so it's a very difficult life to try to assume, to try to be the best person that you can be, try to live the best life that you can live, but still have those moments where, life is just lifing, and I always tell people this, no one can be judged for their worst moment. To take a person's worst moment and broad stroke their entire life is unfair. But the world that we're living in right now, especially in the social media culture, it's very, very toxic, and it hinders people from really trying to live their authentic self and trying to do things that they really want to do, because they got so many eyes on them. So people are pressured to perform. And I don't want you guys living in that type of bubble. And I pray that we have not created a culture to where we say, you can't mess up. That if you mess up, that's the nail in the coffin. because too many people are living in, and I'm telling you this from a personal perspective, people get crushed under that weight. You know, for you guys, as your mother, we've been married now going on 24 years. You guys all know how me and your mother came together. It wasn't a Christian Bible camp. We didn't meet at a singles conference at the church or in Sunday school. You guys know that. We've been very transparent with our children. We'll be married 24 years, March the 17th of 2025, yet we have a 24-year-old and a 23-year-old. So if you know how to do the math, we had children when we were not married. You guys, oh, you guys, changed my life in an instant. And I think sometimes when I'm relating to you guys, and I think about the weight and the pressure of having to be your father, because there is a weight. There is a pressure. Forget the pastor stuff. There is a weight and a pressure of just being a father. Because I know what it's like not to have a father. And to have you guys living in a life to where a major part of your life was not there for the majority of your life is going to cause you to live out things in your life that otherwise you wouldn't. So there is a weight. As you guys have kind of grown up as siblings, how have you guys done the sibling thing?
What's the sibling thing?
Because you know I don't allow you guys to fight and yell and yell at each other. I don't like that. I don't like that. Tell me the value of your siblings. How do you view your siblings? Is there sibling? I don't think that there's sibling rivalry, is it?
No.
In some homes, I guess.
For us, no.
Not in our home.
Yeah, there's no sibling rivalry. So how do you guys relate to Markayla and Vinchelle, your other two siblings?
I think we all have a different relationship. Like all of us have different bonds with each other. Like if I put us all in a category, Junior and Markayla are like me and Vinchelle. Like you got Junior and Markayla who are more soft-spoken, kind of on the...
They're introverts.
Yeah, out the scene, but you know, they're always doing something for somebody. Me and Michelle are probably more
social butterflies.
Yeah, and I mean, but as siblings, I think we all know how to we know how to make it work. Like we have we have never really like argued before. We all know how to talk to each other. I feel like we're all pretty vocal to each other. I feel like we all have a pretty strong relationship. Like I don't think outside of what I'm sure you've seen or whatever, but we'll never argue. We don't really argue. We'll probably have a few words. We're siblings. We get on each other's nerves, but other than that, I mean, I feel like we all have a pretty.
She gets on your nerves.
I mean, the siblings are that's just how siblings work.
We're supposed to get on each other's nerves, and we love each other on top of that.
Your family knows how to get on your nerves the worst. So, and I mean, that still happens occasionally, but it doesn't, like when you're young, it happens a lot because you're young. And I can't remember the last time I got like angry with like Faith. Because Faith was like, when we were young, I don't want to say this like, even in like past 10 years, not even. But like Faith knew how to get on my nerves a lot. I can't remember the last time that's happened. Same with Kay and Michelle. Like sometimes we'll be short, but I mean at this point we know how to treat one another.
How to talk to each other.
So give me one word that would describe your oldest sister. Vinchelle, yeah, bum. One word.
Dramatic in all the right ways.
There's more than one word.
Dramatic?
So she's dramatic.
But I'm just saying in
all the right ways, okay?
I say headstrong.
Headstrong? Okay. Markayla. What's one word that would describe Markayla? Your second oldest sibling.
I don't know if I can like say it like one word. I don't think the word I want to say means what I think it means. But I say introspective.
Introspective.
I don't know if that's the right word, but she does a lot for people, like without like saying much about it. I mean, it's clear that even if she's not like outgoing or super outgoing and stuff like that, she cares about people in the way that she does, and you feel it whenever it comes your way.
That's a good word. And you?
I would say the same thing.
Okay.
I mean, KK's behind the scene, but she's always doing something for somebody. Like, no matter what it is, she's always gonna come through. She always comes through for her younger sibling. But yeah, Markayla, she's definitely, like, she's behind the scene, but she's always gonna make sure the person to the next of her is taken care of. So.
What's the one word about your big brother?
I don't know what one word could be, like a peacemaker. I don't know what one word that could be, but yeah.
Peacemaker.
Like, Junior's very soft-spoken. I could say gentle giant, like. Like,
yeah, he's a gentle
and then
giant.
he's just very extremely smart. Like, it's like, I love the fact that I just have like a very smart sibling, and Junior is that very super smart sibling, which is amazing.
Yeah, he's pretty smart. Okay, so what would you say about Faith?
I mean, just some word. It's, I guess I say high energy.
High energy.
Like out of all four of us, yes, absolutely. It's not even close. But like she puts so much work into the things that she wants to do or needs to do, whatever, even academics, if it's relationships. I think she tries to put her best foot forward, even pretty much every scenario possible. She loves she loves people in the way that she does. That's very distinct. So like, again, I mean, I started with Kay, but like the way she treats people, the way that she loves people, you're gonna feel it. And it's like very specific to her. So you're gonna know whenever it comes along.
And what would you say about Miss Jamie Michelle Holman?
My mother,
What's the one word that comes to your mind?
strong.
Strong.
Incredible.
Incredible. Okay.
She's very strong.
She's very strong. Okay. And very incredible.
Yes.
Okay. Like Mrs. Incredible?
They have the same name. That's true.
What's the one word that you would say about me?
Confidence.
Yeah.
Confidence.
Also headstrong. Like,
You just do that
Whatever
within
word
that?
you want to associate with
I mean, that's-
alpha male.
I think that's where Michelle gets it from.
Like, everything you do is with confidence, no matter what. Like,
Yeah.
you're very, like, your voice is very strong. And I don't mean that just like how you talk, but I'm just saying, like, anytime you're anywhere, you're going to know that you're there. Like, you don't even have to say anything. Like, that's just what you bring. It's just...
Yeah, you know what you want, you know how you want it, and there's not really a lot anybody can really do about it.
Yeah. I say you're like, you go into a situation, your mind is completely made up. Like, there's nothing anybody can say, which is a great thing.
Okay, the last one. Max.
Can't
Max
say that.
is a dog.
Not the brightest thing walking yet.
He's a good dog.
He could be watching right now.
I don't think he could be. I think he might be on the scale.
So you say Max is a dog. What's the one word that you would use to describe him?
I don't know, working in
Puppy.
progress.
A work in progress.
He's learning. He's only one.
He's barely one.
Yeah, Max is more Kayla's dog. My word for him is idiot. But
I didn't know if I could say
That was your word for Ace too.
yeah, but I like Ace. Ace grew on me. Ace grew on me.
It's out with Max.
So yeah, he will. I mean, he's just not as smart as Ace. He's just not as smart as Ace. So let me ask you guys this, and we'll bring this to a close in Jesus' name. But this has been very insightful. I want you to understand the stage that me and your mother are in right now. We have moved. We're always going to be your parents, no matter how old you get, no matter what stage in life you're in. But we have now entered into a space to where we have to be more coaches. We have to be able to trust that what we have deposited in you in those formative years, we are now in a stage to where we just got to remind you of those things. But then trust that you're going to make the best decision possible for your life. So we can't overbear. But in doing so, I hope that you guys know as parents, or would understand this perspective as a parent, parents don't have it all worked out. And there are times in which parents give wrong advice and are misunderstood. So in the same way that you require or ask for grace and space and more love, is the same way that children have to allocate to their parents, right? And unfortunately, I know many of people who relationship with their kids are not the best, wishing that it could be better, and kids holding things against their parents that were done when they were younger. It's a terrible situation to be in. As you guys are kind of travailing through life and making your own decisions, what have I asked, and ask I mean in quotations, what do you owe me when you make it?
A countryside.
Say it loud.
A countryside plot of land, like you said, like 10 acres, something like
10
that.
10 acres, and a house on some property, so I can have my grandkids there. What do you owe me?
I think I owe you a lot of money.
A lot of money. A lot of money. A lot of money. I say that jokingly, but I tell them all the time. I know at times I can be a little bit, but I do want you to know that I believe that you guys are going to change the world. And that's not a hyperbole. I do believe that the gifts and the skills and the talents that God has given to both of you and to all of our children will be so impactful that you will change the world. That when you leave, the world will know that you were here. And I hold a high standard in regards to that particular life, because I believe that that's going to be a life of great consequence. Just to be ordinary doesn't take a lot of work. But to do things that are going to impact people's lives is not only going to take work, but it's going to take a lot of sacrifice. Our family has sacrificed over and above. And we continually sacrifice even to this day. We are a family that serves other people. That comes with its rewards, but it also comes to great depletion. I'm asking that you guys, as Holmans, would trust God in such a way that you would believe that He wants to use you to change the world. And I mean that from the depths of my being, that I know sometimes I can put a lot of pressure on you guys, but the pressure is a good pressure. The pressure will bring out the best in you. It's not from what I consider to be negative in any way, shape, or form. I don't want you living up to a standard that I have for you, though I have one for you. I want you to be living up to your greatest potential, which is in God. So let me ask you this as we leave. If you had one thing that you could say to your generation, to every 22, let's say between 18 to 32, that's your generation right there. If you had one thing that you could say to them to encourage them, to admonish them, what would that be?
Things have to get better. Things will get better. It's just a matter of time. You don't really gotta, I guess that's more than one word, but.
No, but you wouldn't. So you would tell them that things would get better. In what way? Just encourage whoever that may be that could be watching with what you just said. What does that look like?
Well, I feel like this generation, I don't want to say I feel, I think I experienced this. I think this generation is really worried for their future just in general. whether that be like stuff like climate change, the economy, or whatever like may be. I feel like the just generation really fears how they're going to fare in that environment. But I also want to point out that a lot of these fears, a lot of these concerns are fears and concerns that the previous generation also had. And when they were young, they were worried about these same things, and this still apply for them. I think I showed you this video of like kids or people aged from 1 to 100, something they learned about life. And you've learned that a lot of people had the same worries, dreams, fears, aspirations. A lot of people think about the future the same way that you do, and they got past it somehow. So there's no reason why you should be the exception.
The word would be focus. I feel like we're so worried about like what to come. Like you just have to focus on what you're doing today. I feel like we get so like crazy in the head trying to, like he said, just focus on the things that we just cannot control. Like he says all the time, work hard now and you can play later. I feel like as I'm getting older and I think about that, I definitely understand. I mean, usually every time that saying would come into conversation, I don't want to hear that at that time, but like now I'm getting older, I understand what that means. Like I have a focus right now, which is school. So my siblings, 2 of them already graduated. He's about to graduate. They focused. They got through. I have 2 years. I have to focus and get through. And then whatever comes after that, that will happen. But focusing right now on my main goals, which is doing well in college and graduating. And as he says, that's the same thing. That's my main focus right now. And of course, just keeping myself together. But yeah, focus is my word.
Well, on behalf of, there are 60,000 individuals out there that tune in to this podcast every week, and we talk about everything. But one of the things that I will take to my grave, a mountain that I will die on, is the mountain of family. I believe that family matters. Families are absolutely essential, and that if you can provide a family that God can be pleased with, God can take the individuals in that family and do some great things with them. I want to present our family because I never want to present us as being perfect by no stretch of the imagination, because we're not. But I do want to present a family that genuinely loves each other, genuinely cares for one another, looks out for one another, and genuinely, from the depths of our being, believe that this is important. And so I'm going to tell them as we close this out that the Bible says that God will visit the iniquities of the father to the 3rd and 4th generations. He doesn't say that he would visit the iniquities of the mother, but he would visit the iniquities of the father to the 3rd and 4th generations. You can break generational curses, not only for your family, but for families to come. And so this is not just a little blip in time for our 6. No, Team Holman, this family unit and the importance of family will last through your generations, and their generations to follow. What we are doing here is starting something that will last until Jesus comes back. So I want to encourage everybody out there, man, listen, just being able to hear some things that I've heard today gives me great perspective on what I'm 51, my oldest is 24. Sometimes that can be like, what? What are you talking about? And sometimes it's written all on my face. I still love them, but sometimes I don't understand. I don't understand. I'm trying my best to understand. Sometimes I just don't. So give me grace, give me space, give your mom grace and space as we learn too. I want to thank you guys. I want to publicly tell everybody, as I say all in private, love Team Holman, love you Junior, love you Faith, love you Kay, love you Bum, Love your mother, of course. Love Team Holman and all that you guys are doing. And I'm praying, parents, if you're out there, do the best that you can while you can. Raise them in the fear and admonition of the Lord, and then trust God in the process. They're going to make every right decision, more than likely not. But give everybody space for grace. Kids, your parents are going to make some mistakes. Just know that I believe more than not, the mistakes that they're making are not intentional or to hurt you, but operating from a space in which they personally know. So sometimes you got to kind of give people that space to do what they need to do. I want to thank you guys for doing this impromptu on Studio B. First time on a podcast. Just know that thousands of people are going to see you.
Yeah, I'd rather not think about that.
And
can I give my 2 cents? For the parents, it's not what you say, it's how you say it. And for the kids, just listen, because they're probably right.
I hope you got that, Pat. I hope you got that, Dominique. That needs to be what you lead off with. Everybody listening, thank you for joining us on Studio B. This marks year number 3 of our podcast. We have surpassed the 60,000 subscriber mark. You guys have been doing a great job, man, tuning in and sharing and commenting. But just remember, not only are we on Facebook, but we're primarily on YouTube, but you can share it to all social media platforms. 2025, we're going to have guests on both sides of this table talking about stuff that's going to impact your life in a great way. On behalf of everybody here at Studio B, we got Patrick Garrett on the 1s and 2s behind the scenes, and then Miss Dominique that does all the fancy video edits. Thank you to the team for another great year of this podcast, and everybody, we are praying that God will do a tremendous thing in your life. On behalf of my family, my wife, my children, Team Holman, everybody, thank you. Remember, be informed, be empowered. Studio B.